Good morning, beautiful people. I am back. And I'm coming after you again, Peggy. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I know all those documents that were filed after your dad and your mom's death was forged by you and your husband, Larry. You two were in cahoots together. And I'm going to tell you why I know this. Your dad, my grandpa, had Alzheimer's. There was no way legally that he could have signed any documents. You had to get a court order. Or did you? Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about how Grandma couldn't see to sign anything. Her diabetes had just ruined her eyesight that bad, especially the last almost 30 years of her life. She couldn't sign anything. Everything had to be extremely enlarged for her to see it, literally, in her face. Like this. You, ma'am, forged it. And I'm going to tell you how I know. Because the last few years of her life, it looked like chicken scratch, with her sending me letters. Her signature was so darn shaky up on her letters. It was not her that signed the will. That was forged by you or Larry. And both of you guys were in cahoots with this. Okay. So she couldn't sign. Because she couldn't see to sign anything. What do you think the past 3 years of her life, I had to call her once a month because I knew she couldn't see anymore. She couldn't see before that. Literally, everything had to be enlarged and in her face, like this, for her to see anything. Plus, I want to tell you how I know that will was forged. Your mom, my grandma, did not have a middle name at all. Her maiden name she kept and used it as a middle name. Chai, lay down. We're not going after him. He'll probably get up in that litter box since it's not clean yet. So, let me tell you. She always signed it, and I'm giving out her first name. Why not? She's already been gone 4.5, almost 5 years. She would sign the documents or a letter, a check, anything. Florence, and then her married last name. Okay. Or else she put Florence, initial of her maiden name, and then her married last name. You, ma'am, have been caught because I want to tell you how. Because that will was signed. Florence, full name of her maiden name, and then her married last name. It's not how she signed anything. I know that, and the courts know that. Y'all did your mom, my grandma, dirty. Just enough to keep her in that living facility. It was a nursing home. Thank goodness for that. It was a living facility. You knew that your dad, my grandpa, had his retirement pay from the military, that he was heavily invested with stocks and bonds. Y'all knew that. So y'all started pulling a five-finger discount. You knew how to cook those books, Larry. Just long enough to keep my grandma within that living facility. How many checks bounced? Was it 1, 2? And all of a sudden you guys had to go pull another five-finger discount about the stocks and bonds to pay for grandma's living facility that she lived in until her dying day. I know what you did, Peggy and Larry. I know. Your sister, my aunt, Alice knows, too, what you guys were doing. She cut ties with you. She was not going to be involved with anything like that. She didn't want anything like that. And that's why she removed herself years ago from that. Do y'all still talk? No. I wonder why. Even your own sister knew what you were doing, Peggy. My dad was the oldest. He was the oldest. I'm the oldest grandchild. I will make sure that justice becomes of this. Of what you, Peggy, and your husband, Larry, have done. Y'all are some dirty people. Downright dirty. And I'm going to make sure justice comes up out of this. You can't expect to steal and think that there's not going to be consequences for it. When you guys take your worldwide cruises around the world, get schnockered. Yeah. Yeah. And you know how your mom, my grandma, hated drinkers. She couldn't stand alcohol in any form, including wine or beer. That didn't include the hard stuff. That was just a no-no. You know it. I know it. And the whole wide world knows it now. I told you, Peggy. I warned you and warned you and warned you and warned you. And your husband, Larry. Don't do me wrong. Y'all did? I'm letting the cat up out of the bag up on everything. Grandpa couldn't sign any documents legally because he had Alzheimer's. There are so many medical documents years prior to that he was showing signs of Alzheimer's. He couldn't sign any documents. Who forged his signature on any of the documents? Grandma couldn't see at all. She couldn't see, people. She was like this all the time because she had severe case of diabetes. She was almost completely blind. Well, matter of fact, she was legally blind. From what her eye doctors said. So you, ma'am, forged the signatures on every single one of those documents. Her maiden name she used as a middle name, because when she was born, it was just Florence and then her maiden name. She didn't actually have a middle name. And when she signed any documents, it wasn't her first name, maiden name, and then her married last name. It's not how she signed it. And the courts know that now too. So, any and all people up there in the state of Iowa, be on the lookout for Peggy and Larry Rogers. Don't let them handle your affairs, because they will rob you blind. Literally. And I hope the state of Iowa throws the book at you too. Enjoy yourself, Peggy and Larry. It's all going to catch up to you real fast. Real fast. Y'all come back now, you hear?